Adaise returned from a meeting with her fellowship and saw her bags packed outside. She confronted her husband, Ekene, who had been busy insulting her in their bedroom. Adaise asked her husband why her luggages were packed outside the house. Ekene angrily told her that their marriage was over. He said she was not worthy of being a wife. Adaise, who was unsure of the situation, asked him what he meant. Ekene told her to send her cheating habit elsewhere. What happened was that the previous day, Adaise met a young man on her way home from visiting her friend Bimbo. He pleaded with Adaise to hide him in her house because some evil men were chasing him for no reason. Adaise could not stand to watch a young man suffer while she could do something about it. She took him to the house. The next thing Adaise remembered was that she woke up naked from her matrimonial bed alone. She could not comprehend what had transpired. Ekene revealed that he met Adaise and the young man naked, lying on their matrimonial bed. He said it was the highest promise she had broken in their marriage. Ekene angrily sacked Adaise from the house, informing her their marriage was over. Adaise left the house to her friend Bimbo. Adaise narrated everything that transpired between her and her husband. Bimbo, who was filled with anger at what her best friend was going through, went to Ekene and confronted him for dumping her best friend. She later came home and Adaise found solace in the arms of her best friend. Bimbo encouraged her not to be broken by a man. She went on and said Adaise was too good a person to be married to such an irresponsible man. Adaise stayed with Bimbo, who took good care of her. Few days later, Ekene met a friend in the market who mocked him for throwing away a very good woman like Adaise. He said, "Who will foolishly let go of beautiful things, if not my friend Ekene?" Ekene returned from the market and could not believe his best friend would rather make fun of him for doing the right thing. His son, Onyeka, came to the kitchen when he heard his father talking alone. Onyeka asked his father whether he was talking to his mother on the phone. Ekene replied to him that his mother was not coming back, so he should be prepared to live without her. Onyeka, unhappy about his parents' issues, went back to his room. Adaise, after staying with Bimbo for some time, decided to pay a visit to her son. She had missed her only son, so she went to Ekene's house to see him. When she got there, she saw Onyeka lying down hungry while tears were flowing from his eyes. Adaise quickly went to the kitchen. She prepared a meal for her son. After a few minutes, Onyeka regained her strength. He stayed with her and they spoke for a very long time. Onyeka did not want his mother to leave the house. Adaise, on the other hand, was terrified of leaving her only son alone with his father, who hardly had time to take care of him. When it was getting dark, Ekene came back from work and saw Adaise in the house. He was drawn by his love for her that he nearly hugged her. Then he remembered what happened and quickly sacked her from the house. Adaise went out crying. She could not believe she was staying apart from her loved ones. As time went by, Bimbo told Adaise she was going to visit her auntie in the next town. Adaise was not comfortable staying in someone's house while they were away, so she also informed Bimbo she would also be going to her family house. They all packed their luggages and went their separate ways. Adaise went to her family house. Meanwhile, Bimbo was being robbed by unknown men. The incident happened just close to Ekene's house. Bimbo, who was left to run for her life, went to Ekene's house to hide. She could not breathe properly when she arrived. Ekene, after hearing her story, decided to help her. Bimbo pleaded to spend a couple of days in his house because she was scared and did not want to be alone. She told Ekene her friend, whom she was living with, had also traveled. Fortunately, Ekene accepted her request for her to stay in the house till she had come out from the trauma. Bimbo stayed with Ekene and his son for weeks. She had not said anything about going home or going to her auntie. Ekene did not also want to sack her away. He thought it was a bad idea. Bimbo, however, was helpful. She performed the house chores. One day, Ekene returned from work and saw Onyeka lying on the floor, vomiting blood. He was alone. Bimbo had just stepped out to buy a drink from a shop on the street. Ekene took Onyeka to the hospital. The doctors, after some tests and treatment, informed him that his son was poisoned. Ekene could not understand. He did not know who could be behind it. He thought of Bimbo, who was always the only person in the house with a son, and moreover, the one who prepares the food. But then he shook it off. He testified that Bimbo was too good to do him any harm. He even thought of how she was Adaiza's best friend. Ekene, after a long soliloquy, could not figure out who was responsible. After some days, Onyeka was discharged and brought home by Bimbo and his father, who had been in the hospital watching over him the whole period. Ekene extended his gratitude to Bimbo for being there for his family despite what happened between him and her best friend. A couple of days later, after the incident, Ekene heard his son screaming in his room at night. He rushed to the room and saw Bimbo holding him. Bimbo narrated how Onyeka fell on the floor and she was helping him massage the pain. Onyeka screamed because he could not bear the pain. Ekene cautioned his son to be more careful, for he could not afford to lose him. Ekene left the room. Though suspicious, he was not satisfied with the response from Bimbo and the reaction of his son. He said to himself, "I have noticed so many strange happenings in this house since Bimbo came." Ekene decided to do something about it before he loses his son. The next morning, Ekene came back to the house. Immediately he left for work. He intentionally left a file in the house, which he came for. He did not come with his car, so there was no indication of him coming. Ekene opened the door and entered the house, only to find his son drowning in water in the bathroom. He took him out and gave him treatment. He therefore asked of Bimbo, and Onyeka told him she was in her room sleeping. He went on and revealed to his father that it was Bimbo who poisoned him the other time, and also she last came to his room and held his neck tightly. She desperately wanted him to die. That was why he screamed. Onyeka told his father that it was Bimbo who opened the tap, filled the bathtub with water and pushed him in it. She said she was going to bed. By the time she would wake up, he must be dead. Ekene could not believe his ears were hearing those horrible things about Bimbo. He quickly called his wife to come over. He pleaded, saying he was sorry, and said to Adaize that their son's life was in danger and he thinks she was the only person who could protect him. Adaize did not want anything to happen to her son. She hurriedly packed her things and went to the house. They hugged each other tightly. Ekene informed his wife that they should let go of what happened back then. He was ready to move on and experience a new chapter of their love. While they stood talking in the living room, Bimbo woke up from bed. Unaware her cover had been blown off, she walked and came to the living room. She was shocked to see them standing with so much care for each other. Adaize was, however, also surprised that Bimbo was staying in her husband's house. Ekene then informed Adaize what happened to Bimbo and resulted in her staying with them. He also said to all of them what his son had told him earlier. Bimbo buried her face to the ground with shame. Adaeze asked her what she did to her to deserve that. Bimbo then revealed to Adaeze that she was the one who met Ekene first. Even before Adaeze, she said she was interested in Ekene. She showed all the signs to Ekene, telling him how much she loved him. But instead, Ekene chose Adaeze. She had been jealous of them since they got married. She was still waiting for the right time to come for what belonged to her, which was why she never got married. She revealed that the young man never slept with Adaeze. She paid him only to get her drunk, rip off her clothes, and lay beside her till Ekene had come to see them. Ekene could not believe he was living with a snake. He blamed himself for not being there for his wife, but making decisions based on assumptions. Bimbo went on to say that she was never robbed. She only paid those men to chase her into the house. She wanted Ekene to believe her story so she could gain access to the house. Adaeze questioned her why she wanted her son dead. Bimbo replied saying she did not want anything of Adaeze to stand her way. She knew if Onyeka was to be dead, Ekene would not find any reason to be with Adaeze in the nearer future. Ekene angrily sacked her from the house and warned her never to come near any member of her family. Bimbo went to the house shamefully. She could not believe none of her plans worked. She realized nothing could come between true love. She knew there was no way she could gain Ekene's trust, talk less of being his wife. Bimbo advised herself to stay away from married men and destroying their homes, especially the ones she had ever loved. She regretted for hurting her best friend and ruining their relationship. Ekene and his family learned their lessons. They embraced peace and trust in their home. The lessons to learn from the story are that we should be careful of the people we call friends and work with in our daily lives. And also, jealousy is the root of so many evil deeds in this world. We should try to always take our eyes off what belongs to someone. Lastly, let's avoid the habits of making judgmental conclusions without any proof and proper investigation.